Tell me why first.
Turn around, put your hands behind your back.
Mike, they're arresting me!
Alright.
I don't know. Tell me why!
Your hands behind your back.
Ow, you people! Get down the ground! Down the ground! Put your hands behind your back! Put your hands behind your back! Put your hands behind your back! Not me! Stop resisting! I don't know what you get out of me.
No, I will not.
Guess what? Lawsuit?
No, I will not.
Lawsuit!
Lawsuit. You guys are all turning your badges.
Kevin, call John 876-1689. Exactly!
He's going to call you in a minute. You need to call. No, he's going to call us now.
Now you guys...
Get out of here, you're going to jail too.
No, he's not.
Get back.
Get back.
This is an arrest that took place in Cambria, New York, after the deputies were called in regards to this gentleman, Adam, that was driving his brother's vehicle. He bumped into a gravestone. So these deputies thought that he was intoxicated when he was really disabled. He has a speech impediment, balance issue, and so on and so forth. We're going to be interviewing Kathy Wepner, who's good friends with Adam, and I really feel that police officers need to treat people like human beings. I see too many times, after being a volunteer firefighter for 4 years and responding to over 600 calls, one incident, for example, a guy was bleeding and not feeling good after getting rear-ended right in the middle of Transit Road in Lockport. And a police officer really wasn't asking the person how he's doing and waiting till we got medical attention for the person involved in the accident. The first thing is, where's your license? Where's your registration? Where's your insurance card? Where's this? Instead of giving the guy a blanket, it was like 12 degrees outside. It needs to be better. An expired inspection sticker, a registration, or even no license is not a crime. It's a violation. The state uses these to make money, and they use the officers to collect the money by issuing the tickets. Please, officers, treat us like human beings. Do you feel protected when you're being followed by an officer, or do you feel afraid? Hi, everybody. We're here today with Kathy Wepner from, she used to be on WBEN. Many know you from that show. How long did you do that show for?
I think it was like 9 years.
9 years?
Yeah,
really?
yeah, time flies.
Wow.
When you're having fun.
I always listen to you,
Thank you.
We can have fun today? What? It's
We
not
are
really fun. This is an interesting topic here.
It's an interesting topic.
Kathy brought to my attention a issue that happened 2017, July 4th. It really disturbed me quite a bit. And it kind of really, we have a lot of common issues, things in common with, what we feel about community, what we can do to help the community, and getting something out to people that we think they should know what goes on. This is an incident that happened a few years ago. A good friend of Kathy is a gentleman named Adam. Now, how do you know Adam?
I was on the radio at BEN, and of course I was reading my 3 newspapers every day, and I heard, and this was back in 2007, September 5th, I think it was. And I heard of a mother who had killed her 17-month-old child. And a mother killing a child is very, very unusual. And I read the whole article, and it was awful. And I said, gosh, who's the father? The father's not mentioned anywhere in the article. And I tracked down the father and called him, and he was so completely broken up that he wanted to get together. And I immediately, the first thing I noticed is, because I had one son that needed speech therapy, is that this was a person who would have benefited from speech therapy, because he couldn't say his R's, and he had different speech patterns that would have been fixed with speech therapy. So I noticed this, and the speech comes into play later when we're talking about this incident on July 4th. And so we met, and I immediately became friends with him. I also had him do some psychological testing, because I noticed that he was a little slow. And I wanted to help him out in the best way that I could. And the way to do that is with information. So Adam had a very difficult time early on when his son was murdered. And so we won't get into all the details of how that happened, but his girlfriend, who was the mother of the baby, ended up smothering Trevor and killing him. And she went to jail for that. But 4 or 5 times a year, Adam goes and he makes Trevor's grave beautiful. And we have a picture of that if you want to show that.
So Adam is disabled.
He is disabled. He's a disabled American. Yes, he is. He's got a couple of different disabilities.
Okay, with a speech impediment.
He has the speech impediment, but he also is slow, diagnosed. And he also has a neurodegenerative disorder.
So I noticed in the video he has a balance issue.
He has a definite balance issue.
So as long as people understand that, we'll show you some videos here what went on. And then Adam was at Trevor's grave.
He was at Trevor's grave.
That was his 2-year son that
July
was actually
4th.
Murdered by
17 months old. Yep.
So
that's why they were at that cemetery. It's important to just know why you would be at a cemetery on July 4th. And have something happen to you there. But that is why they were there. They had purchased a bag of mulch. They were going to mulch it. They have hostas growing. And he has a beautiful, he has a picture of him and Spider-Man, and it's a beautiful gravestone.
So what happened that day was Adam wanted to drive. Adam has a driver's license, even though he's disabled.
Oh, yes.
So he's able to drive.
His balance issues don't come in when he's driving. It's only when he's walking. So the 2 cars were there. His brother and his brother's 4 children were in Sequoia. And Adam has a much smaller little SUV kind of vehicle. And he was there with his friend Kevin and his little dog. So they beautified Adam's grave. They got that all looking nice. And Adam's brother was thinking of selling the truck, and Adam said, "Oh, can I take it for a test drive?" So that put Adam in the brother's truck that day to just take a drive around the cemetery. And this cemetery, if you've never been there, this Northridge Cemetery, the streets are the paved part where you drive on. They're one way only. They're very narrow. And the gravestones come right up to that driveway. So Adam all of a sudden is in a very big Sequoia, and he's just going to do one loop around this small cemetery, and because it's one way, very narrow, and he's in a much bigger vehicle. And he didn't navigate the curve correctly because big trucks are much different than small vehicles. And the second he bumped into the gravestone, he stopped and put it in park. And, they weren't far away from where they were, and the brother and everybody came running over.
So I have a picture of the gravestone here, if you guys can switch on.
Yes, that's the gravestone that he had knocked off its foundation. And that is Adam's brother. And Adam's brother, what he does for a full-time living is he sets gravestones. So he has worked actually at that cemetery in the past setting gravestones, and he works full-time for a different cemetery now. So he knew how to put it back up. Yeah. There's certain equipment you need, blocks of wood, and he got those out and he set the gravestones back up because there was no damage to them. Yeah. And but when he was doing exactly what was in that picture, someone had seen the gravestone get knocked into and called the Niagara County Sheriffs. So the first sheriff comes to the scene. The gravestones are already up. And he is just fixing the land around the gravestone. And Adam walks up to the sheriff's car, and the sheriff said, "What's going on?" And Adam said, "Well, I was just in my brother's truck, and I turned the wheel, and I didn't turn it right, and I just knocked one of the gravestones over." And before you know it, because of Adam's speech, and they say, "Well, this guy is slurring his words." And they ask him lots of questions. Adam answers all of his questions, and they started administering a field sobriety test. Now, Adam has told them that he has a disability, that he is on medication for his depression and his post-traumatic stress. He's told them of his balance issues. He has said he has many doctors. They can talk to any of his doctors regarding his balance issues. The response to that was, "Your doctor's probably on his yacht today celebrating the holidays, and I don't have time to call your doctors." So the brother has also told the officers that he has balance issues, that he gets a disability check, that he's disabled. And, by the time the 4th car gets there, so there's 1 sheriff, 2 sheriff, 3 sheriffs, and they have to wait for the box, they called it, which is the breathalyzer, to get there. they administer this test, which he keeps saying, I can't do this, but he's very compliant. He's compliant the whole way.
So while he's doing this test and the officers are demanding this test, his brother is telling them that he's disabled, he can't do certain things, and the officers are just basically ignoring
totally ignoring it, like everybody's making everything up. And but once again, he's always compliant. He's doing everything they ask. The one officer said it would really help your case if you let us search your car. Sure, go ahead. There was nothing in his car. Have you had any drugs? No. Have you had anything to drink today? No. He's answered all their questions. There are 23 videos. Wow. From 3 different officers that kept clicking on and off these different, and I don't know why they have to click on and off, but they're there for more than 2 hours.
So what I'm going to do, I want to show a video clip here
of the sobriety test.
I'd like to do a video clip of the arrest, the actual arrest first. Then we'll go back and then we'll show this. We'll show the people what happened.
Okay.
At the end. So, all right, go ahead.
So we're going to see his takedown, and that's literally what it was. He's done everything they've asked him to do, and they pounce on him. And when his brother and the friend see this going on, they react like I would if I had a disabled brother.
Mike, they're arresting me! Alright. I don't know. Tell me why!
Your hands behind your back.
You pick up! Get down on the ground! Down on the ground! Put your hands behind your back! Put your hands behind your back! Put your hands behind your back! Not me! Stop resisting!
So what's going on here is that, Adam, he's disabled. He doesn't really know what's going on.
They've been there for 2 hours. They've told him, let us search your car. And they've told him, and he's asked for the breathalyzer test. Can you just give me a breathalyzer test? Because he knows he doesn't have anything in his system. And they've told him that when the breathalyzer test gets here, and if that's okay, you'll be good to go. They've led him on to believe that if they let him search his car and that he does this breathalyzer, that he'll be able to go. Now, all of a sudden, this incident happens right after the breathalyzer. He's taken the breathalyzer, the lieutenant's there. He says, zip, nothing. And so he has nothing in his system. He thinks they're going to go to July 4th fireworks. Do you know what I mean? That they're going to leave. And all of a sudden they say, turn around and put your hands behind your back. And he says, why? Why are you arresting me? I just want to know why. And because he didn't immediately turn around and he said, why? Now he can't go anywhere because the car is right behind him. It's not like he was able to run. During most of it, he has 3 police officers around him at all. He's not running anywhere.
And this happened right in Niagara County at Cambria. It was a cemetery in Cambria,
right?
Correct? So I'm going to show a video of his sobriety check. So we actually have video of his sobriety check, and he looks pretty good here, standing still and everything. And he looks very cooperative.
So they're just having him follow a pen, and I think this takes 2 minutes. We didn't start it like right at the beginning because we don't need to watch 2 minutes of this. They have him looking up, and he's not stumbling, he's not swerving, he's doing everything they ask him to do.
I have no balance. Do the best you can.
It's right there. He told him he has no balance.
All right, when you assume this position, I want you to say.
And he said, I told you I have no balance. So he's already told them that before he even attempts this.
You there? I'm trying. I mean, you can talk to every single doctor I have. That's how you. I don't have time to be making phone calls to doctors. I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure they're probably on their yachts or enjoying the house.
Oh, right there. He said the doctor's probably on the yacht. He can't call his doctor.
I have no balance. Okay. Do the best you can. I'm trying. Thank you. Can I have a breathalyzer test because I cannot do this?
Let him do the test.
I'm just wasting you guys'
Let him do the test.
Video this. Video this. Video this. It's all on video, buddy. Well.
So his brother's telling him that he's disabled.
Yep. And he has no balance. Adam wants the breathalyzer test because he knows he can't do this.
Adam asked him to call his doctor.
He said, I have many doctors, and they'll all tell you I have no balance.
You there? Yeah. Okay. You take 9 steps in a heel-toe manner. We're cutting out loud and looking down at your toes. Alright? It's going to look like this. 1, 2, 3, all the way until you get to 9. When you get to the 9th step, you're going to keep your lead foot planted. Take a series of small steps. Going back the other way on the imaginary line of your feet. Alright? Yep. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 9. While you're doing the test, make sure you look down at your toes, count out loud, don't stop moving until you're finished with the test. Keep your arms down at your side. Okay? You understand all that? Yep. You can begin when you're ready. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you can obviously see it's, if these officers took proper training, they would tell that his movement looks more like a disability than
his
it does
regular
if he was
movement.
intoxicated.
If they just had him walk, you can see that he doesn't walk the way that we walk normally.
And he has a hearing issue too. That's probably what's created his speech impediment, correct? Too, right?
Well, the speech problems can be caused by different things, but central auditory processing disorders have a lot to play in how you hear things. You can't reproduce sounds because you don't hear them correctly. So it could be a central auditory processing disorder. It could just be the neurodegenerative disorder, which is just the way he was born. Yeah. They then have him try to hop up and down on one foot, which is impossible.
2009.
But think about how embarrassing this is for him.
So after he was arrested, they then, what really surprised me is his brother Sequoia, the Toyota. So
yes.
So he was there with his brother, and they had 3 little kids there too, right?
They have twins that are 2 and a 4-year-old, and his 15-year-old at the time. So there were 3 car seats in the Sequoia, and they told him, "We have to take your truck." And he said, "Why would you have to take my truck? It's private property." He made, the sheriffs made his brother take all of the car seats out of the car. The brother went to get his property in the car, and the officer reached for his gun and said, "Stop reaching in the car." And he said, "I'm trying to get my things out of the car. You're taking my car."
So that's
and they stranded them at the cemetery on July 4th with 4 sheriff's deputies' cars. They stranded a father with 3 little kids under the age of 4 that needed car seats, and he had to take 2 of the car seats and the 16-year-old leave the friend with the other small child at the cemetery while he drove 30 minutes away, 25, 30 minutes away, drop them off, go back and pick up the other 2. They literally stranded him at the cemetery with his family on July 4th for a disabled man that couldn't do the balancing, the test. But at one point, I really think it's important to think that out of the 4 people that were there that day, that not one of them had a thought that maybe he's disabled.
You're done.
Perfect.
You're done.
What's that? No. No, but based off the test that you did, you can't be driving, man. The sobriety test, the field sobriety test?
He has something in his system. He just came from my
So right there, they're explaining that.
drink to do
That's, yeah, I know, but based on their training and seeing what he did?
their training.
Yeah. Okay. How long have you guys been police officers?
Do you know he's mentally slow? He gets a check.
I don't know this guy.
Now, so I just trying to tell you guys he has bad balance. And he told you that before you guys even tried doing the balancing shit with him. He told you disability checks.
Okay.
So why are you guys disobeying your law?
We're not disobeying anything.
No, yeah, you abuse your power.
All right.
what happens next is even more egregious than actually what happened to him. And maybe you can flash some of those pictures on the screen of the force with which he was thrown to the ground. That's what his leg looked like. And you can do the other pictures while I'm talking. But so Adam called me. They took him to the barracks. They gave him another breathalyzer, and it was 0. They put him in a completely darkened bathroom to check his pupil responses or his eye responses. And then they asked if they could take him to the hospital to take blood. He said yes. He said yes to everything. They keep him overnight, locked up in a cell. And the next morning he is bailed out for $500. And then so began our journey for the last 17 months. We have been going every single month to court. He wants a trial, and they've offered, he's gone and he's gotten the alcohol screening and drug screening that you have to in New York State before you're convicted of anything.
So all the screening he had, everything showed
screening
up
and done, no alcohol problem, no drug addiction, no treatment treatment recommended at all. We have a new neurologic study done on his disability, and we provide those 2 reports by the next session.
So this happened July 4th, 2017.
Yes.
And then everything just ended 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. They finally dismissed the charges.
Dismissed all the charges. They dropped all the charges.
The judge ended up recusing himself. Both judge and Cambria.
Because it was in Cambria court.
It was in Cambria court.
Okay.
And the Michael White, who was his public defender, he recused himself, saying that there was a conflict of interest because the county was paying him. And I thought, well, we must be going out of the county then, because any public defender was going to get paid by Niagara County.
Let's go to show the pictures of his injuries, and we'll get back into some of the details here.
Yep.
So obviously here's the grave site of his
That's
son,
what they did that
right?
day. Yep, with the mulch, and you can see the flower plantings.
So they actually did that day. And
Yep.
here's his bruises.
That's where he was grabbed.
Photo here, and then these are obviously handcuff marks, I think, over here, and then bruises on his shoulder here, and then definitely cut up on his elbow there pretty good. So he definitely, I mean.
And he's at the cemetery to visit his dead, murdered son's grave.
They charged him what? They charged him for property damage?
They charged him for reckless endangerment of property, even though there was 0 property damage.
So they confirmed that was 0.
The second public defender argued that should be dropped because there wasn't any damage and there's a $250 minimum.
But they didn't drop it. They kept it on. And then they kept
Right.
resisting arrest.
The resisting arrest, and there was also DUI and DWAI, and reckless endangerment and resisting arrest. Okay. So there were those charges.
So all the charges. So fast forwarding through the stress of the whole trial, the Niagara County's DA's office really kept on pursuing charges.
Oh my gosh!
Regardless
of the pressure. Now he said, "I want a trial. I want a trial. I want a trial." I want a trial.
So Adam wanted a trial.
He wanted a trial.
And he wanted a jury trial.
He wanted a jury trial. He was offered 8 different plea agreements. After they have the Dent neurologic studies and after they have the Horizons evaluation saying he does not have a problem, an addiction problem, I said, okay, I can understand the police officers thinking, the sheriff's deputies thinking that he was, So let's give him all that. Let's give him the takedown. We're in court now, and we have provided documents. That's the time to say, oops, sorry about that. But no, they're doubling down. The first plea offer was 6 months of a suspended license and 2 years in drug rehab. After they have the documents saying that he doesn't have a problem.
So do you think they more or less wanted to keep the charges because they were afraid of being sued?
I don't know, but I have to tell you, at the 8-month level, when we are back in Cambria now 7 times, and we're waiting for toxicology money for 4 months, we both drive back there. All of a sudden, it's adjourned. Sorry, we don't have the money yet. Sorry, we don't have the money yet. We don't have the money. We got the money, but I haven't sent them the blood results
Where's the
yet.
money supposed to come from?
Mike White said he had to request it from the Niagara County District Attorney's Office.
Okay, so they had to okay the money for the test.
They had to okay the money for the toxicologist to look and say, yes, these are little trace amounts. But there are a couple of states now that have written laws for impaired driving.
Yeah, so then it got transferred to a Heartland court.
Well,
right?
the reason it got transferred is because I went and got Adam a civil rights attorney. He has a right to a speedy trial. He is asking for a trial. He is asking for a trial. He is asking for a trial. And we're at 8 months, and we're not anywhere close. They've come up with a few different plea deals, and each time it's, no, I want a trial.
So is it like they're delaying because he's not taking the plea?
He's not taking the plea. And I have come to understand that courts don't want trials. They want plea deals. They don't want trials. In fact, if we wanted to really completely grind everything to a halt, we would just stop taking plea deals and we would demand trials. So I went and got Adam a civil rights attorney. The civil rights attorney notified Niagara County that there was going to be a civil rights lawsuit.
What happened with that?
Well, the rule is if you are going to file an intent to a claim, right, that you're going to file a suit, it has to be done within 90 days. But if there is a mental impairment, you get an additional year to file a claim because they understand that you may not understand. So they filed this intent to claim. The judge said it was too late. They went before the judge.
Which judge said that?
Which judge is it? Let's see who signed it.
Furlong.
Yeah,
Furlong.
So they're in front of the judge. Furlong decides that because Adam had a lawyer, he should have known to file the suit within the 90 days. What Ryan Johnson said was that no, he had a public defender for his charges. That's not like having a regular lawyer. The public defender for these charges would have never said, oh, and by the way, we also need to file against Niagara County and again. He would have never done that.
I think it's almost like a conflict of interest. The public defenders are working for the government.
Yes.
And they work in
yes,
the
they
same
would
office
never do that.
In the DA's office.
Mike White recused himself because his paycheck was coming from them. He would have never said, oh, you need to go sue the people that are paying me.
For public defenders, you should be able to just go pick your own unbiased attorney.
You should be able to, because somebody would have seen all of. Well, also when I was there at his technical arraignment, right when he pled innocent, not guilty for the charges, I asked the judge, Judge Jowdy. I said I want it on the record that I am requesting all vest cam and dash cam be preserved. And he said, okay, no problem. I said, well, I want it in the file somewhere that request is being made. They had told Mike White that there was no vest cam, that there was no dash cam at all. And when it was transferred over, and this is my theory, we had the private video taken with the barking dog with his friend, and you hear in that video, you hear the officer say, why are you videotaping? We've got our cameras on. All of a sudden, we go over to Heartland, and Mike White is there to transfer the case over. And he said, I just want to tell you there's a lot of vest camera available. They just told me about it. So while we were in Cambria, his attorney was lied to and told that there was none available, which couldn't be because we had video showing the guy pointing to the red light on his camera. So the court said, no, you cannot have the year-long extension. You only have 8 months, I think, to perfect that appeal. The appeal costs about $15,000 to perfect.
Because I noticed in the video, too, he was asking why he was being arrested.
Yeah, they wouldn't tell him. They said they didn't have to. They could tell him later.
I think that's illegal. You have to tell him you're under arrest and this is what you're arrested for and do it.
And you have a right to remain silent.
So when he was basically taken down, he had every almost right to defend himself because they didn't really tell him.
He just wanted them to tell him why. What were they arresting him for?
So now you're in Heartland Court.
We're in Heartland Court.
And how many times did you have to go to Heartland Court?
I think we were there 4 times. Yep. We go there the first time, and it's being transferred over. It's adjourned so that the lawyer can get caught up on everything. And Mike White was there the first time. The second time we had Christopher Privateer. And so then the 5 other plea deals are coming. 6-month ACD, pleading to disorderly conduct. No, I want a trial. 3-month ACD, pleading to disorderly conduct. No, I want a trial. 6-month ACD, pleading to nothing. No, I want a trial. 3-month ACD, pleading to nothing. No, I want a trial. Okay, now in December, just till the end of this month. Only 27 days ACD, pleading to nothing. No, I want a trial.
So they kept on pushing and pushing.
The pressure was incredible.
So which,
because we're sitting behind the district attorney, the assistant district attorney, who says, Your Honor, I also want to request that the 2-year jail sentence that he'll be receiving not run concurrently, so that he serves the whole 2 years.
Now, who said that?
The ADA. For the reckless endangerment and the resisting arrest, a year on each. But he's saying this so it's verbally heard, so that Adam is nervous, so that Adam gets too scared to want a trial. Our attorney said, I have lost trials I should have won. I've won trials that I should have lost. You never know how jurors are going to react. This ACD is a good deal. He thought the 6-month ACD was a good deal. The 3-month ACD was a good deal. The 6-month, the 3-month, the 27 days. You should take this. He was very upset with me because I was encouraging Adam to go to trial. But I'm sorry, he didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
He's a disabled American. And one of those police officers should have been scratching their head, watching him really try. He had no alcohol on his breath. He blows a 0.
How many deputies were there?
There were 4 altogether.
4 altogether.
When the lieutenant came...
And it took him how many deputies to get a breathalyzer?
4 deputy cars. The
So
lieutenant
4 cars
finally had to
even.
come.
So-
But Adam's standing, and he's got officer. What, to make sure he didn't move? He could barely... He walks funny. How is he going to run away? Do you know what I mean? One of them should have had... some kind of policing sense.
So you felt even upset that even your own attorney was saying, really pursuing the ACD. Now,
absolutely.
the ACD, you don't understand, explain to people what ACD means.
It means that you've done something wrong, you better be a good boy for this length of time, and if you're a good boy for this length of time, the charges will go away.
Exactly.
It's exactly what it is.
And
it
a lot of
means
people don't
something.
understand, when you take an ACD, though, you're removing your right to sue for malicious prosecution. You can still sue for civil rights, but then you can't sue for so then the county's on the line. So they force the ACDs to more or less protect themselves.
Yes.
And then make them look a little better, even though they shouldn't even look. And Adam really, I was really impressed with me. He stuck. I think I showed up that one time, right?
Yes.
During the trial, and
and
really.
After the attorney had left, I said, Adam, I would totally get it. I would totally understand if this is what you want to do. If you just want to walk away and it all goes away, I totally get it. And I said, could you do a year in jail? If this whole thing goes sideways. Remember, we're 17 months. We're 18 months beyond this happening. Could you do a year in jail? And he looked at me and he said, I could.
But then again, he wouldn't do a year in jail because it would be his first. So everybody's saying, jail time, 2 years, 1 year's where
just to scare him.
But if he's
it
a first,
just to scare him.
But if it's a first offense, what do you get? 30 days?
Well, it was just to scare him.
Exactly. So they almost do it to scare you in it. But people that usually get charged, especially first offenses, you might serve 2 weeks, 30 days.
So
2 months.
We're there on a Tuesday, and we're going to trial Monday. We're going to trial that following Monday. I have put off having surgery for months because I know what they want to do to him. And he needs someone standing by his side. Mm-hmm. And we're going to trial Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, jury selection, all of that. And we're in a straight line going there. They moved Adams, so it was in Cambria, which is the town over from Niagara Falls. When they moved it to Heartland, the farthest that they could move it from him. They moved it
because
the
Adam
farthest.
lives in Niagara Falls.
He lives in Niagara Falls. The farthest thing from Niagara Falls is Heartland County Sheriff's called the Department of Motor Vehicles. It was either the sheriff's or the attorney's office, and said that this was a person who had been arrested and needed to be reevaluated for his driving.
Because the deputies felt that he shouldn't be driving because of his balance issue.
But hold on. Why didn't they do that in 2017?
Yeah.
They waited until November of 2018, over a year, to call and have them suspend his license.
Wow.
Well, but why would they do that?
So
if he was truly a threat to the roads, they would have done that right away, right?
I think so, yeah, exactly.
Because he's driving all that time to and from court.
Yeah.
It wasn't until it was way far away that they decided 2 months in, let's get his license suspended.
So now let's jump to right before they drop you. So now
the
your
lawyer,
attorney calls you, says get there right away.
He says, you have to get Adam to court tomorrow because they have filed a motion to force him to take an ACD.
Now, after I heard that, I started calling a few attorneys. They said they can't do that. That's illegal. You can't do that.
I said that you can't do that. He's going to trial on Monday. He said, well, they can file whatever motions they want. He has to be in court. And I said, well, and you know what I was supposed to be doing that day? I was supposed to be having lunch with a group of veterans going through our program who are suffering from post-traumatic stress and really struggling.
Now you're getting post-traumatic stress from this, aren't you?
Well, I'm telling you. So I go pick him up. We go to Heartland, and the district attorney argues that they want to make the past 17 months a retroactive ACD and just end it on that day.
But it's still an ACD regardless.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So Christopher Privateer said, you can't have a retroactive ACD. There is no such thing. ACDs always move forward. He read the statute saying it's impossible. And then he said, in the interest of justice, I am requesting that these charges be dropped.
And when you talk about the ACD, when I heard about the 30-day ACD, I looked into that too.
27-day ACD.
Yeah, 27-day ACD.
Right.
I looked into that too, and a lot of attorneys were telling me that the shortest ACD that's legal is 6 months.
Well,
so they were offering even a ACD for a shorter period of time. That's usually
6 months and 3 months, and 6 months and 3 months, and 27 days, and we'll end it today.
Yeah.
But we're going to take all the rest of the time in and put it into an ACD.
So what impressed me too is the judge watched the videos.
Well, Monday in court, which was our court day, maybe Tuesday in court, she made notice that she had watched all of the videos. And I said, oh, good. Okay, she knows exactly what happened to him. She knows how many times he said, I can't do this. I have no balance. I have doctors. I am being treated. Here I am on medication. All things that could have impeded his ability to follow pens. Some medications for depression, some medications for post-traumatic stress can do that. So they know they're dealing with someone who's declaring a disability. His brother is declaring a disability. His brother is telling them that he's slow. His best friend is saying he doesn't have any balance. He told them at one point, sometimes if I'm going up the stairs, I fall back down.
So do you feel that with the whole arrest, the way things went on, do you feel that the situation was escalated by the officers themselves?
He was 2 hours they sat at the cemetery where he was completely compliant. He stood for 17 minutes at one point. Just stood by himself. His brother is off and has the little kids way off in the distance. His brother never says a word during this whole time. The friend is throwing barbs at them because he's outraged that this is happening to him. And he's sitting there completely compliant. Why would they have to jump on him? He just wanted to know why he was being arrested. Then he suffers from panic attacks. They put him in the back of the police car, and you can hear him screaming. Just screaming.
Well, his brother tried to signal
his
to
friend
comfort him.
Tried to say, Adam, everything's going to be okay. He's trying to just get to sight so that Adam can see him, trying to comfort him and getting him to calm down. And the officer is moving in front of him, so he can't do that. And he said, what are you doing? I'm not doing anything. Well, I'm just trying to calm him down. He can calm down by himself.
So then they put him in jail, what, overnight?
Put him in jail overnight, in a cell by himself, in the basement, all alone.
So now back to the Heartland judge. After your attorney asked for the case dismissed, she then said it's over. She said it's dismissed.
Well, she went back to the ADA and said, do you have anything to say? And he said, I stand on what I've already said. And she said, then in the interest of justice, I'm going to dismiss the charges. Now, at that point, the DWI had already been dismissed. She had dismissed that the month before. Christopher Privateer asked that all the charges be dismissed the month before.
The only charge that was standing
resisting
was the property
arrest,
damage and
property
resisting
damage.
So, but there was no property damage.
No.
So, being there's no property damage, no DUI, how do you charge someone for resisting on something that there was
Apparently,
no arrest?
you're allowed to do that. The balance issues that forced him to not be able to pass his sobriety test. Those issues, anybody that cannot stand on one leg and hold their balance will fail that test. Anybody that cannot walk heel-toe for balance issues will fail that test. Anybody that does 2 instead of 3 will fail that test.
Yeah. So after the judge says it's all over, what was Adam's reaction?
He just started sobbing and crying. And I just hugged him, and I was crying too. It had been such a long, horrible journey for him. He had not been able to go to his son's grave since that time.
So he's afraid to, because of his mental condition, everything.
He just couldn't go back because of everything that had happened. And I got in the car and I said, do you know where we're going? And he said, where? I said, we're going to go see Trevor. And we found his grave and we brushed off the snow. And I just said, Trevor, you would have been so proud of your father today. He was so strong, and he has been very brave, and he had the heart of a champion in saying, no, I am innocent. I didn't do anything wrong, despite all of the pressure that had been put on him. The one thing that he yelled when they stood him up after they had handcuffed him is he said, you're going to arrest me in front of my son? How horrible. How really horrible. So I don't know what can be done now if the time is too late. Believe it or not, when they finally set his date of trial for December, I said, finally, he's getting a trial. December was when the time ran out to perfect the appeal.
Wow. So what would you like to happen after something like this? Is there something that you would like to do to stop something like this from happening again, for example?
There has to be the ability for someone with disabilities to say, I am disabled and I cannot do that. Everything has to stop. Can you prove it? His brother would have been able to go and get his medical file, which would have proved his disabilities. He had paperwork from the Social Security Administration. He had paperwork from the Horizon Center dating back, years and years, showing that he absolutely wouldn't have been able to do these things. The ability to prove that what you're saying is true before they take you down and arrest you. There should be some compensation, because you know what I would like to do? I would like to exhume Trevor's body and have him buried somewhere else where Adam would be able to go and visit him. Because even though he was there, he doesn't know if he's going to be able to go back.
He doesn't feel safe.
He doesn't feel safe. I would like to move Adam out of Niagara County and move him maybe closer to me, because he doesn't feel okay anymore.
Do you think officers should be maybe trained a little better? It seems, in the past when I've gotten pulled over, and I'm sure, officers, I was a volunteer firefighter for 4 years, and I see some of how these officers act around people in car accidents. It's like you have.
It's like everybody's lying.
It's I showed up this one rear end accident, and the officer's like, give me this, give me that, give me your ID, give me your insurance, and this guy's almost acting half dead in his vehicle. It's
right.
like, and I'm there. It's like, can you calm down a little bit? Let's help this guy out. But they're like machines. They're like, we need this, this, and this, and this. There's very little compassion sometimes, and yet there's some officers that are great.
Yeah. there were 2 other police officers on the scene. Do you know what I mean? That somebody there should have said, well, he walks with his arms very loose. He doesn't have a normal gait to him. That for anybody that's going to have to take these, I mean, if I were walking with a cane, and Adam did go get a cane now, he hasn't fallen since, but if I were walking with a cane and I had to do a sobriety test, would I be allowed to use that cane?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are going to have to take a closer look at this because he was obviously disabled. I talked to Adam for 10 minutes, and I knew he was slow. And that's why I called in a favor and had some testing done on him. And I'm just a lay person.
Yeah. So you watch some of the video, you can actually see it's a speech. You can hear. He sounds like he has a deaf issue. And you when you grow up and you hear people in school and in grade school, you pretty much know the kids that have hearing impediments because they talk that way.
Well, Adam never received speech therapy. I went in the first month.
But it's something that you pick up. It's not the same as a slur
if
someone's been drinking.
No, it's not.
And that's something you figure they would be trained to really know. Even without training, as a simple adult growing up, it's something you would hear.
Adam's attendance records were 50%.
Yeah.
And no intervention with 50% attendance. And he was in life skills classes for his tenure at school. So but you're right. Training in what a normal walk looks like and what a drunk walk looks like. Adam doesn't look like he's drunk walking.
Yeah. Say thanks, Kathy, for doing this video. Hopefully we'll get some attention, educate, and make things better for the community. And
I hope someone steps forward because there has to be a way that there can be some kind of compensation for Adam, who has been through so much for a year and a half, when they could have very, very quickly ended this for him.
So thanks for everybody listening, and we'll hope for the best.
Thank you. Yes, thanks Dave.
All right. Adam, these are your Miranda warnings. Do you understand that you have the right to remain silent and refuse to answer any questions? Do you understand that anything you say, anything you do, say, can be and will be used against you in a court of law? Do you understand that as we discuss this matter, you have a right to stop answering my questions at any time that you desire?
253
Do
County.
you understand that you have a right to a lawyer before speaking to me, to remain silent until you can talk to a lawyer, and to have that lawyer present with you when you are being questioned? Do you understand that if you do desire a lawyer, but you cannot afford to hire one will be provided to you before questioning without cost to you? Do you understand each of these rights that I've explained to you? Now that I've advised you of your rights, are you willing to answer my questions?
I'll answer anything. I don't know what questions you have.
We have to read the whole sheet verbatim. So I just need an acknowledgement for each of those, that you're understanding what your warnings are. Okay. So this one's the DWI warning. These are based on the performance of the test that we did.
But I told you, I have no balance. I did not drink at all. Give me a hair test. Anything. I was not drinking at all.
Okay.
I mean, anyone I come on, they all know my balance is bad.
Us charging you or bringing you in to go see the drug recognition expert, all this isn't you being guilty in a court of law, okay? This is, I have probable cause to arrest you based on what I observed during the test that you did.
So how do I get out of this? Because I'm not guilty. I just have bad balance.
Okay. Well, it's your choice, okay? But keep cooperating.
I'm trying
to,
but you arrested me when I was there with my son.
Look, I know you're upset, and I know you're not here for a good reason, okay? But there's some stuff that led us to talking to you, like you driving over the headstones, okay?
That was just a stupid mistake.
I know. So